Okay, members, next up, we've got Representative Wayne Johnson, House File 2258 for Special Olympics. We've got a couple testifiers if they want to move up to the table as well. And Representative Johnson will move that House File 2258 will be laid over for further consideration. So, Representative Wayne Johnson, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair Baker, Chair Pinto, and members. This is another opportunity or activity that will put Minnesota in the national spotlight. And any opportunity that we can put Minnesota in a positive spotlight is a good opportunity. So this bill requests $2 million to support the Special Olympics USA Games, which is coming to Minnesota the last week of June 2026, 15 months from now. Planning is well underway to make this an outstanding event, shining a bright national light on Minnesota and highlighting the achievements of athletes with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And while these games will be the largest athletic event in the country in 2026, and the athletic competitions are what Special Olympics is best known for, these games are so much more. In addition to the on-field activities, the games have three key priorities for activities off the field. One of these key priorities is the area of employment of athletes. And such, the games will include multiple events and resources for both athletes and corporate partners to address the statistics of underemployment of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The games provide a platform to uplift Minnesotans and Americans from all 50 states with intellectual disabilities. The games will create a massive economic impact on our state, in the hospitality industry, and more. And the games are an opportunity to showcase the best of Minnesota to a national audience. Now I'll turn it over to my testifiers, Christy Sovereign, CEO of the 2026 Games, and Eric Anderson, a Special Olympics athlete, to tell you more.
Welcome, and Ms. Sovereign, if you'd introduce yourself, please, and proceed with your testimony.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to be here and for your consideration of our bill. Thank you, Representative Johnson, for carrying the bill, and Representative Frazier for co-authoring. I'm Christy Sovereign, CEO of the 2026 Special Olympics USA Games. The most important thing that I'd like you to take away is that while Special Olympics USA Games will be anchored in sporting activity, what we're really hosting is a humanitarian event. Special Olympics' mission is to improve the lives of people with intellectual disability, and it does so with a focus both on and off the field. On the field, we'll host 16 sporting competitions that'll put Minnesota on a national stage. Off the field, 3 priorities will be advanced: athlete health and wellness, youth inclusion, and athlete employment, which is specifically what brings us here today. Only 18.5% of people with intellectual disability are employed to the level of their ability. So it speaks to a crisis of under and unemployment in this population. So we're looking for funding to support unified work initiatives at the Games, which would include executing 2 unified work forums for corporate partners. We're looking to create tools and provide education for Minnesota companies so that they can increase employment in the ID community. We're also looking to host a forum for athletes and their families during the Games to help athletes develop their skills, like resume writing, interviewing, help with their LinkedIn profiles, et cetera, to help better position them for employment. And finally, we're planning to open a pop-up store at the Mall of America with the goal of providing unified work for a team of Special Olympics athletes and volunteers. and putting unified work on display for the 100,000 plus visitors and fans that are expected to visit Minnesota that last week in June 2026. The games are expected to generate an economic impact of between $75 and $100 million. But the games provide a powerful platform, moreover, which we're looking to use to address an underserved community. Our hope is to enable and educate what is required to create meaningful work, thereby resetting the trajectory of inclusive employment in our state. Thank you. And Mr. Chair, at this time, Eric Anderson is prepared to say a few words on behalf of the athletes.
Welcome, Mr. Anderson, to the committee. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Eric Anderson, and I'm a proud athlete of Special Olympics Minnesota. I had the honor of representing Team Minnesota in the 2006 and 2022 USA Games, and had been working for Special Olympics Minnesota for more than 12 years. On behalf of 3,000 Special Olympics athletes that will participate in the 2026 USA Games, I'm here today to share their voices and to champion for their abilities in the workplace. Hosting the 2026 USA Games will be an incredible, it will put Minnesota on the national stage and shine the light on abilities of the people who have intellectual disabilities. We want the 2026 US Games to be life-changing for the state of Minnesota. The Unified Work Summit that we are planning is focused on increasing the employment of people who have intellectual disabilities. I'm proud to work at Special Olympics Minnesota, and I want to see others like me have the chance to be part of the Minnesota workforce. This is a special movement in time for our athletes and the community to come together as one Minnesota. We have the opportunity to advance the mission of Special Olympics and showcase Minnesota as a unified place where people both work and play together. I'm proud to be an athlete messenger and hopefully for a more inclusive world. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, thank you for considering our funding request.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anderson. I appreciate you being here today. Mr. Anderson, if I could ask, are you an athlete in a specific sport?
Basketball and golf.
Basketball and golf. Thank you. I wanted to ask that question. So thank you very much. Any member questions today? That's all we have. Actually, I should see, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this bill? Seeing none, Representative Zalesnikar.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Representative Johnson, for bringing this bill, and thank you to the testifiers. I think this is just another fantastic opportunity for Minnesota to showcase, and what I really like is the opportunity of giving workforce exposure to disabilities and to support the Special Olympics. It has so many aspects of having a national stage here in Minnesota, and to really showcase all the aspects beyond sports. And so I commend you for what you're doing and look forward to it. It's another great day for Minnesota. Thank you.
Thank you. Further, Chair Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative Johnson, for bringing this forward, and to both of your testifiers for your work and your advocacy. I had a similar question as the one I'd asked, the series of questions to the World Junior Hockey Tournament, because it sounds like this has been announced, and so it's going to happen. Can you just talk about kind of what the $2 million is getting, what it will go to, and I suppose also if the funds aren't appropriated, you know, what the impact of that will be?
To the testifier.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate your question. The $2 million are expected to support, or $1.5 million of the $2 million are expected out of the general fund, or are requested out of the general fund to support the overall event. So specifically, housing and dining for athletes, the athlete experience, right, putting the event on. The $500,000 also represented at our ask is specifically for the unified work activities that I spoke of.
Chair Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So let me think. So regarding the first one, because the event has been announced, and so if the funds were not appropriated, sort of what would happen then? I mean, I assume athletes still need housing and food and all, and so if you can just talk about kind of what the impact would be, how you would run the event, or what would happen without those funds.
Ms. Sovereign.
Yes, thank you. If the money isn't raised in total, or if all the money doesn't come forward, obviously we'll still be prioritizing athlete housing and dining and the athlete experience. What we'd be starting to have to make choices around is some of the special events that surround the sporting activity. So for example, how do we dial back on opening ceremonies?
Okay.
Right? Is there a lesser profile of talent we bring in? How do we think differently about some of the off-time activities that are provided in Athlete Village, et cetera, et cetera? And certainly, if we really fall short of monies, some of these very legacy activities that we're talking about, to really be good stewards of the mission and stewards of our state, are ones that we'd have to consider from a scope perspective too.
Thank you.
Chair Pinto?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it sounds like, and you referenced if the 1.5 million or funds aren't raised, so I gather that in addition to seeking the state funding, it sounds like there's also, and I gather there would be also philanthropic dollars being raised as well to try to accomplish these things.
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Sovereign.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Thank you. About 10% of our budget is what we're asking for the state. The other 90% will be privately raised.
Okay, good.
Chair Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, no, I think that's all. Thank you so much again to all of you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other member questions at this time? Seeing none, Representative Johnson, final comments on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair Baker. I'd like to recognize Representative Frazier. Thank you for co-authoring and working to bring this bipartisan wonderful event and provide this bill forward so we can help with the funding for this event. June is a wonderful month in Minnesota. So to be able to showcase Minnesota outside and with these activities in June would be a great opportunity and would really reflect on the Minnesota values. And so thank you for the opportunity to bring this forward to you. I hope you support it. I think it would be a great showcase to show what Minnesota is all about. Thank you.
Representative Johnson, thank you for bringing House File 2258 to the committee. This will be laid over for further consideration. Thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck this summer, Mr. Anderson. Thank you.
Thank you.